water temperature and dimensions of the opening. When that's done, they remove some of the rocks to give them a better view of the condition of the female and her eggs inside the den. The female is grooming the eggs with her suckers and circulating water around them with a blast from her siphon. This prevents algae or small crabs from destroying the eggs. Octopus females are strangely devoted mothers, spending up to 6 months in the den, during which time they'll neither feed or leave the eggs unattended. Before the divers head for the surface, leaving the octopus to the joys of motherhood, a small string of the eggs is removed for study back at the lab.
Out of each nest, which is roughly 57,000 on average, only 1 or 2 will survive. That's all it takes to keep a stable population. All you have to do is just replace the parents.
The growth rate of the giant Pacific octopus is really quite intriguing. During their young life, in the first actual 2 years, they go from about 31 thousandths of a gram up to about a kilogram. However, in their last year of life, they will double their body weight roughly every 120 days.
And that staggering growth rate is unmatched by virtually any other creature in the animal kingdom.
There's a female tucked back in underneath. The eggs are fairly old. They're going to hatch probably within a week or 2.
Back on dry land, Jim Cosgrove returns to his day job at the Royal British Columbia Museum in Victoria, where he heads the Natural History Collections section. Here he classifies egg size and records the numbers per cluster.
Probably I'm the only person that's studied the octopus consistently for the last 30 years. The information that I'm gathering is compared by malacologists throughout the world that have other species of octopus, and we're able to take a look at how long it takes for eggs to develop. And then that information is published in scientific journals and is available throughout the world in libraries.
Academia is one thing, but in Jim's mind, there's nothing like being down in the cold ocean depths, having a one-on-one confrontation with the world's largest octopus.
I think one of the reasons that a lot of people aren't interested in studying octopus, particularly the giant Pacific octopus, is the water's cold. The depths are significant, so the dives are a challenge. Often the visibility is very poor, and you're only allowed a very brief snapshot in their lives. That underwater we may have as little as 17 or 18 minutes. If you're working in an aquarium, you can sit there with your cup of coffee and watch all day long.
On this dive, Jim Cosgrove has discovered a large male, weighing over 30 kilograms, or about 65 pounds. With a 10-foot arm span, it's big, but by no means the largest octopus that he's encountered.
The biggest octopus that I've ever seen was 156 pounds. It measured 22.5 feet across. The suckers on it were over 4 inches in diameter. It was absolutely immense.
Nervous about the bubble-blowing aliens that have arrived, the octopus digs into its bag of tricks to demonstrate its many escape techniques, including ink decoys, color and pattern changes, and not forgetting jet propulsion. The octopus uses its ink first as a kind of smokescreen aimed at the attacker's face while it jets off. The ink may also be squirted to the side to create a sort of phantom octopus that lingers while the real one swims away.
Most octopus stay in their dens during the daytime, although they do make some short hunting trips. But a large male will come right towards you, whereas another animal would settle down. It would put all of its suckers in contact with the rock. It would stop breathing so that you couldn't see the white color of its gill slits. It would camouflage using its chromatophores to change color and rippling its skin texture to blend with the background. It would try and make itself invisible. It would not want you to be aware that it was there. The big males, however, will stride right over to you. They'll have the front two arms extended. They'll bring them in contact with you. Octopus taste with their suckers, so they'll try and determine what you are. And sometimes they'll start pulling on you quite aggressively. So you want to be very careful if you allow the animal to get a hold of you and a hold of the bottom, because once it's got you and the bottom, you're not strong enough to pull yourself free. Regardless of how strong you are, you're not strong enough.
And that is a strong, fit human being talking. Take pity, therefore, on the Octopussies' favorite bedtime snack, the lowly crab. Life on the ocean floor for this poor crustacean must be a living hell. The unfortunate dinner item is enveloped and a poison secreted through the octopus's skin, knocking out its victim. The crab, you'll be pleased to know, doesn't feel a thing. Back in the den, the octopus removes the shell, squirts its digestive saliva into the flesh, and then sucks up the juicy bits. All that's left is a graveyard of brittle shells. Octopuses never cease to amaze. Their ability to change color at a moment's notice is controlled by tiny cells called chromatophores. These cells begin to be tested even while in the egg sac.
These cells are under nervous control, so instantly the animal can change color. And it does that, even though they're colorblind, by matching the hue or intensity of the colors that are surrounding them. And by using different chromatophores in a series, they can produce ripples of color traveling down the body. They can produce flashes of color. When you get a large male coming towards you, you will see it shift colors. You'll also see it change color in response to you. So if you threaten it or contact it directly and it feels intimidated, it'll go completely white and adopt a very defensive behavior. So these shifts in color, we think, reflect emotional states in the animal because they are responding in ways that we would respond as well.
Jim returns to check on the state of the nesting female octopus and the condition of her eggs. Unfortunately, when he gets there, it's too late. Most of the eggs have hatched and the female has died. For 6 months, she's lived off her reserves while protecting the nest. Now her body, grey and lifeless, is consumed by the giant predatory sunflower starfish, thereby completing this cycle of birth and death on the ocean floor. Young octopus have poured out of the den, floating like tiny astronauts in a giant liquid cosmos. Just a tiny fraction of a gram, they'll become part of the plankton layer, and many will end up as a tasty morsel for whales or basking sharks. In these coastal waters, fed by the Pacific Ocean, each new hatchling gets a free ticket to nature's version of Russian roulette. For Jim Cosgrove, it's the end of another field trip into the deep. Another chance to explore the domain of the octopus and uncover its secrets. Not funded by any grants or donations, Jim sees his work as an ongoing contribution to our understanding, not only of the octopus, but of the diversity and value of all life beneath the sea.
There isn't a lot of interest in octopus other than perhaps as a fishery, and so I can't get large corporations or other groups interested in financing my research, so I have to do it all my own. But I don't mind that. It's very rewarding. I think all marine biologists are trying to achieve the same thing, to get a better understanding of the animal and how it lives, how it interacts with other animals, what its place in nature is, and all biodiversity reflects on the wellness of the planet, the health of the planet. As we lose biodiversity through extinctions, the planet itself becomes less healthy, and the less likely the planet will be to cope with other changes. And so instead of small changes happening that nature adjusts to, you will start finding larger changes happening that nature isn't able to adjust to. There's a lot that we as human beings can learn from these animals.